Hey you! Yes you! Are you the kind of person that's interested in the new open world games coming out but don't have the money to purchase the product? Well, it looks like we're in the same boat. I'm SamMcKdamn and I'll be here to help promote FarCry 2 for Ubisoft, on a budget. So in FarCry 2 you play as some guy you get to choose. Now this character you choose never talks, the game never leaves the first person viewpoint, and there's no stat or equipment differences tied to any of the characters.
Wait, what was the point of choosing your character again?
Anyway, so once you pick your hand skin color, the game starts the way it means to go on for the next 20 to 40 hours by... how do I put this lightly? By forcing players to stop and smell the roses until the game says it's time to move on. Case in point, the game puts us in a scripted car sequence where we just sit there doing nothing while the driver gives exposition on what's happening. For 6 minutes. Now, people may find this unskippable sequence boring and tedious to sit through, but Ubisoft just wanted to take the chance to show off the game's impressive draw distance. So during the car ride, Ubisoft thought to themselves, you know what would make a good gameplay mechanic that will help set us apart from other games? Debilitating parasitic diseases. So immediately when the car ride ends, you contract malaria. Now, the malaria does more than just end the scene. It plays a pretty major part in the core mechanic of Far Cry 2. By that I mean you have to pop malaria pills whenever the game tells you to, or else you'll not be able to see anything and eventually pass out. Now the best part about these pills is that you have a limited amount of them, and the game won't tell you how many you have until you're completely out. Now I know people may find this very annoying to deal with, but Ubisoft was right about this being a unique mechanic. How many games can you think of where you have a disease that needs to be treated every 30 to 40 minutes? Outside of crippling diseases that need constant checkups, Far Cry 2 has hundreds of missions and side collectibles to find. There's liberating areas, assassination missions, grabbing a thing missions, and collecting diamonds. Lots and lots of diamonds. Sam, I hear you say, that's only like 4 things. Well, if you've ever played a Ubisoft sandbox game before, you would already know that there's only 3 or 4 different missions repeated until there's 100 or so to complete. But a first-person shooter wouldn't be a first-person shooter if there wasn't any shooting action to look forward to. So there's plenty of weapons to buy, from pistols, shotguns, machine guns, rifles, rocket launchers, and flamethrower. Just the one. Oh, and there's a flare gun no one uses. Now Ubisoft wanted to innovate with their guns, so they added in a jamming system where guns will randomly jam during intense firefights. You may think you're safe from this system by buying the reliability upgrade from the gun store, but the jamming will still get you when you least expect it. And if you're super lucky, you can experience the add-on mechanic of guns exploding in your hands. There are people out there who will argue that this mechanic is the dumbest fucking thing anybody has added to a video game, even going so far as to use cheats just to disable this mechanic. But Ubisoft listened to those people and they fixed that issue, so you can't use cheats anymore. But Ubisoft was more determined than ever to make the shooting more tougher for players. So there are enemies constantly patrolling the roads and cars mounted with machine guns and grenade launchers that will drop everything to run you over from behind while you're trying to clear out enemy camps. Speaking of liberating camps, one of the many joys of sandbox games is to see how much progress you've made by showing players how much they've accomplished on the map. While the game does show players what they've completed, Ubisoft decided that after liberating an area, it wouldn't make sense to leave the place empty. So as soon as you leave the camp, all the enemies will respawn. So you may be asking yourself, what's the point of liberating areas then? Now the map in Far Cry 2 is pretty big, and moving from one point to another can get really tiring, so Ubisoft implemented a fast travel system. Sort of. You can only fast travel to and from bus terminals which are placed in areas that will make you wonder, why is it so far out of the way of everything? But just like with the first car ride, it's so that the player can really appreciate the scenery. Once you've spent the last 20 hours liberating areas that become immediately unliberated, spending most of your time driving from point A to point B, and having fun with the gun mechanics, the game opens up a whole new area where you get to do everything all over again. While there are people out there who would say that these additions are unnecessary, weird, or fucking stupid, just remember the Ubisoft company motto. We're Ubisoft. We can't do anything right.